And welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm a Mizzy.
And Chris Suhre is not back yet, as you've noticed. Um, John and Kathy are off today, so we are having Chris Suhre on to talk about stuff and get him some good information. I can hear him coming back right now. Here he comes. Let's see.
You're
Where did he?
right. Here I am.
Yeah, there he is.
Grand interest of drum rolls.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was 5 minutes already.
That's okay.
It goes by so fast.
It goes by quick. So,
It
like I
does, man.
said,
I had no idea. I was like, all right, I got some tea, used the restroom, and my wife made soup. So I was like, I'm gonna have a couple of bites of soup
Oh,
real quick.
so Chris is on air with us tonight. He's going to be talking about stuff with his Kickstarter and his project. Before do that, well, let's get down to the business. We want to thank Mini Masterworks for supporting us and being a awesome sponsor. Don't forget, if you go to their store, make sure you use our code More Than Dice, and you can get 10% off your order. And like I said, everybody's picking up one of these little Vortex paint shakers. That's been like our big
Wait,
seller. I think we've sold like 5 of those already.
yeah, with John, right?
Yes, John McAvoy.
Yeah.
Um,
He
he's
he's also got a set of what is it? The pencils.
yes,
Those are great too.
yeah. We've been selling those. I know that people have bought the pencils and the shaker a lot from him, and I
Yeah.
own both of those. We want to also thank Muse on Minis for hosting our channel and putting it out there for everybody. Keep on doing it. And don't forget, if you like what you see on their show or like you see in their store, make sure you use the code More Than Dice also there. You get 10% off your order on anything you order from them. Also, we want to big shout out to Parabellum War Games because they make an awesome game called Conquest with amazing miniatures and amazing stuff. And there is a very good chance you could see a Conquest event at Warfare Weekend. And if you like their stuff, make sure you go over there, buy stuff from them, and use the code More Than Dice also, and you can get 10% off your order from them. Chris is over there laughing like, damn, Gonzo, how many 10% codes do you have?
Right.
all of them.
Um, but yes, we are trying to work a deal to get Parabellum to come out and run some tournaments and do demos at Warfare Weekend. So we will hopefully see that. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. We do have a couple of shout outs this week. Mizzy, do you know who our shout outs are?
I remember one of them is one of the Judds.
Yes. Was it Naomi Judd?
I want to say Naomi Judd.
Yeah. They are not saying what happened, but it's being assumed because she passed away from mental illness that she may
Yes,
have
Naomi
possibly,
Judd.
yeah, that she may have committed suicide. But she had been going through a lot of mental health issues lately that they were talking about, and that's a very sad thing to hear. I mean, I'm not a country fan. I don't like country music, but the Judds did put their stamp on country and were very prevalent and did a lot of stuff. So there's definitely there. So that,
You also live in the South, so you kind of can't escape it.
yeah, it's always there.
It's there.
And then we have Neil Adams. For everybody know, Neil Adams was a comic book artist and really put like comic books in the forefront for a bit of time. Like some Batmans, and I know kind of almost like rebooted Batman a little bit with the with Neil Adams doing his stuff. Chris, do you know anything about Neil Adams?
A little bit. I mean, I definitely loved comics quite a bit growing up, but I was always more of a Marvel person than I was a DC. That was just kind of the thing at that
Uh
point.
huh.
So I wasn't as familiar with his work, but I mean, yeah, he was a very fantastic comic book artist.
Yeah, I mean there was quite a few. Because someone was showing. I mean, what's interesting is you've seen this person's artwork because he's done some Marvel stuff, but you don't know the
Yeah.
face and the name as much because I mean if you're just reading it and you're enjoying it and then you're like and then you're like oh man I have seen his work. I just didn't know
Mhm.
that that it was his work at the time because a lot of us, these artists that are dying, we were like teenagers or young kids when we were reading these comics when they were doing the artwork, and we're just like, okay. But I
Right.
mean, like some things that, I'd seen his stuff. I know his stuff. Didn't know that it was him.
Uh-huh.
Unlike, Todd McFarlane, he did he was very prevalent whenever I was really big into comics, and I could definitely tell his art style and stuff. And so, I can feel for people that, say that, Neil Adams was really great at it, but I don't feel it as much. But I mean, anytime an artist passed away, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
So,
I also got a notification that Joanna Barnes passed away. She was an actress from The Parent Trap and Auntie Mame.
yep. I think she starred in both Parent Traps, the reboot and the original.
I think so.
Yeah, she was in both Parent Traps, the reboot and the original type thing. Any other shout-outs that we know of?
None that I can recall.
None that I recall either. Of course, we always want to shout out everybody that's listening. We appreciate whether you watch us live, whether you listen to us on any of the 90 billion platforms we're on. And we appreciate you when you watch John and check out his stuff, or watch me when I do some painting. We appreciate more than you know. But let's get down to some serious business. And I mean, this is serious business here.
Sir's business.
It's cereal business. It's so serious. Chris, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm not much of a alcohol drinker, so I've just got some good old fashioned iced tea.
Okay, but here's the thing: sweet or unsweetened?
Oh no, it's sweet. I don't do unsweet.
You're not a heathen.
Yeah. No. I mean, like, I know it's not the best for me, but no. I mean,
Is it like so sweetened that it's like almost like syrup?
No, I don't go that far,
There
but
is a limitation.
there is a limitation. But I'm
Not
sure
all of us want to die of diabetes.
Do you ever not to go totally off topic, but did you ever see that movie? What is it, the one with Brad Pitt, Jason Statham? What is it called? Oh, it's by Guy Ritchie. It's called Snatch.
Yes.
Yeah, every time I drink a tea, I'm always reminded that line from Bricktop where they're like, "Do you want one lump or two?" And he's like, "I don't need," or what is he says something along the lines, "I don't need any sugar in my tea. I'm sweet enough already."
That's funny. Yeah, it's just there's that staple of Southern sweet tea is pretty much syrup.
It's pretty much syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Southern. I haven't gone that far, but
Missy, what are you drinking tonight?
I have a good old-fashioned water bottle for hydration. And then for dehydration, I have a Arbor Mist, something another, Moscato. It's a
Moscato
strawberry
DSD?
mango? No, it's just Moscato.
Just a Moscato?
That's what the bottle says. I don't know. I'm not a wine drinker. I just know it's sweet and I like it.
I'm also going to make sure that I keep, a good old thing of water here to drink. And then, of course, my beverage of choice tonight is a good old Remy Martin XO that I'm going to be sipping on a little bit tonight while we talk with Chris about his life and everything that's going on. Guys, we appreciate you. Again, we appreciate more than you know. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you get vaccinated. Make sure you wash your hands. If you don't feel comfortable, make sure you wear a mask. Please be safe. We want to see you at Warfare Weekend this year. We want to see you at all the cons that are going on. So please take care of yourself. From all of us, all y'all, cheers.
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 Oh, damn, that's good. Hold on, one more. Hell yeah. That's good. So we have Chris Suhre on tonight. I have known Chris for a lot longer than I know. And I know Chris from the convention scene and have seen his artwork, and I've always appreciated it. Chris, you're one of my favorite artists. I always look forward to what you do and what you create. But before we get into the minutia and what the podcast is about, tell us who you are and, why we love you so much.
Because I'm very lovable.
Well, yes, but we need details.
Details. So my name's Chris Suhre. I am a resident in Illinois, U.S. painter. Um, my day job is in medicine. I do pediatrics. Um, I'm married, have 4 kids, ranging from ages 12 to 19. Uh, and then, probably the big thing for like the conventions and stuff like that is I'm a miniature artist.
No, you're not just a miniature artist. Let's go ahead and get this out of the
Let's
way.
back that up a little bit.
Yeah, because Chris, are you a commission painter?
No,
Yeah, you do this for what reason?
because I love telling stories and I love telling stories with art. I like evoking emotional responses with my art. Um, yeah, I don't do commissions because mainly I couldn't promise to deliver a good product to the person that was buying it from me. I mean, if someone was like, Chris, I want you to paint a Hellboy, and I'd be like, okay, that sounds great. And then I might start on it, and if I'm not feeling it, then I'd set it aside, and that's not fair to them.
Fair.
I mean, I do occasionally sell pieces, but it's because someone contacts me afterwards and it's like, I love this piece. And I'm like, okay, that's great because I'm not particularly connected to this one. So I like let it go or something like that. But I mean,
How often do
yeah,
you let your
I
pieces
don't
go?
take like orders or anything.
How often do you let your pieces go?
Um, Maybe one every other year is about the average. So it's pretty low, really. Um, I'm part of I got to join a group of some other painters like about a year ago, where we actually do Secret Santa stuff, um, and it tends to be like fairly high, good quality paint jobs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like this year, I partnered with one called the Market, and I gave it to a friend. Like honestly, so we knew we were going to do the Secret Santa thing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna paint this and I'll give away a Secret Santa. And then when the names got drawn, and I got Fausto, who's this painter and miniature artist who runs Abyssal and stuff like that out of Italy. When I got his name, I was like, no, 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 this is not good enough for him. I'm going to finish this other piece that I'm really attached to and send it to him. And so I sent him The Market, which is one of my favorites that I've done. Um, and ironically, I send the thing to him like at the very beginning of December, and I'm told, okay, give it 2, 3 weeks and it should be there. That thing didn't show up on his doorstep for like 2.5 months.
Oh.
I was sweating it so bad for so long because I was like, oh God, it's law. I mean, I put tracking on everything. We knew where it was,
Mm-hmm.
but basically once it got to Italy, it went into customs and then it just disappeared. And so I was convinced that the thing was lost. And then, ironically, on my birthday, it actually showed up at his house.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, because you have a very unique, I don't want to say unique style, but you hardly do just like a single miniature. You don't just pick up like a Space Marine and you paint that Space Marine really well. You create like, yeah, you have done some busts and stuff like that, but you're really into doing dioramas more than anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't like doing the same thing everyone else does. Um, I like I said, I like stories. Those are easier to tell when you have a whole entire scene to go with it, like a
Mm-hmm.
whole entire atmosphere. So that's why I probably tend to kind of lean towards dioramas more. Um, when so I got started in all this because of War Machine, really. Like I was,
What?
yeah, I know. Like what? Surprise on this cast.
Where I get to learn, where I got to meet you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and like I mean, when I played War Machine, I mean, I played competitively. Like I mean, for
Hey
the
Xander.
end of my residency, the first few years being out of residency, um, I'd go to tournaments. I would go to Gen Con. I mean, not to be like pompous or whatever, but like, the first ever hardcore that was hosted at Gen Con, I came in second, which doesn't mean anything really. But like I made it to the very final round and then got my Denegra assassinated. Uh, and then a year or 2 years later, I went to Gen Con to do whatever the massive steamroller was called at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And took like Denegra 2 in her Mark 1 form when she was considered absolute shit, and took her all the way through to the semifinals.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, that was my thing. But then after a while, like going, tournaments every weekend, going to play once a week to practice with friends and stuff like that, it just wasn't really viable for life. Like, I mean, between work, family, and all that, I just didn't have the time. So I wanted to stay involved in the hobby. So I turned to painting more than playing, and ended up going to Gen Con a year or two after they started the P3 competition.
Mm-hmm.
Or they started the open version. I took some troll bloods. I'm sure that's what it was at that point. Submitted them, and I got one of those nice bronze coins. It's actually hanging on my wall over there. And got that, and got to talk to Matt DiPietro about how to improve, and I was hooked. And so then I started doing that year after year after year, trying to improve, get better, get a higher coin. Eventually got to the point that I won my category. And then a year or two after that, it got to the point that I won my category, and I took the Masters then too. So that was kind of the start. But as I was doing that, I started, I'd go research other websites to try to find different ways of approaching art and stuff like that, or painting. And I came across a website called Massive Voodoo, which is done by Roman Lapat, and at that point it was also with Raphael. And that's when I started seeing what it could really be. Roman does all different types of scenes. He does everything from painting busts of professional sculptors to, I mean, some of his most recent art. He's literally taking Space Marines and turning them into hangable pieces of wall art. And so that's where I kind of got my start of falling more and more in love with dioramas.
So you came out of the womb painting as well as you're painting right now, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No,
Born with a brush in your hand?
Not. No, I mean, my art experience in high school and stuff like that, I would draw mainly comic book stuff, actually, comic book characters and stuff like that. And then went to college, but in college I was pre-med, so basically all it is science and math and crap like that. I ended up taking one art class in college, and I think I eked out with a B in it. It was intro painting or something like that. Then go to med school, don't do anything like that at all, because basically all you do in med school is eat, work, and read. And then yeah, so then out of the residency, that's the only reason I painted out of residency was because I was just trying to paint my army, because I like having a painted army on there. I mean, it was totally my Scorn army, which I think James Moreland still has pieces of, because I'm sure there's plenty of people on the cast that know him. But James still has pieces of mine that I painted with Scorn and stuff like that, and it's literally red flesh color dip. I mean, that's what it was. There was very little more to it. It was about 10 years ago that I started painting more for myself and wanting to get better at it. And a lot of the early days were just more figuring out my own technique, reading every website I could find, trying to find artists that were better than me to kind of learn from. Then that kind of graduated to doing Patreons and listening to those. And then most recently, it's been a lot of work through what's called the Miniature Art Academy, which is a website run by Alfonso, who's also known as Banshee. And so his website's just full of useful videos that you can get at a very reasonable cost. And then I started doing private coaching with Alfonso, which basically was like a massive kick in the tush. Yeah. So I've been doing like private coaching with Alfonso we're going on 2 years at this point. Like September should be 2 years.
Okay. I know this question is going to come up. Xander says he has the Cray. Did you paint a Cray for him? A Cray model? Or is it Alfonso? Xander Warlord? Give us a little bit more information on that.
I may have painted a Cray. I probably did at some point. I remember wanting to paint Cray because it was such a cool model. Probably did, but that's probably been quite a while ago. I don't remember when that would have been.
Well, wait, see what Xander says. Signar Cray on the horse. Yeah, but is it Chris's Cray? I'm guessing. I guess he'll let us know if it was yours.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been. I honestly don't remember. I mean, like I said, I remember liking Cray and thinking that was one of the best models they produced for quite some time.
Yeah.
But like the rest of Signar, I didn't care about.
So I know people always ask you this, but we always like to ask our people that are artists, what are your favorite brushes, paints, stuff like that?
Sure. Okay, so brushes, something that's like a Kolinsky Sable is nice. The reason I would say a lot of not everyone does. Like for instance, like Sam Limbs, for people that are familiar with him, who does a lot of fantastic art and also a lot of like army type painting. I know he just uses like standard GW brushes, and somehow he turns out amazing artwork with it. I'm not that lucky. I need like my Kolinskis because they tend to hold a very fine pinpoint edge, and that helps you a lot with the brush doing what you want it to do.
That's I started using Kolinskis also, and I'm like, I really like these a lot, and they do hold their points very well.
They do. The only downside is like now it's so hard to get them in the States. I mean, you can go on Amazon and get them, but like you kind of take a gamble as to what quality you're getting. Sometimes they turn out great. Other times they're a piece of crap from the moment you get them.
Xander says the Cray that you did for him was for an old food machine fundraiser.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember that. Oh my God, that was so long ago. That has to be like 10 years ago. Yeah. Oh, food machine. That was such a great idea.
Yeah. Still is. People still do it. But
do they really?
Oh yeah, people still do food machine. We joke that some people say that the game's dead, and we have so many more people playing it now that it's amazing. And the problem is nobody's been able to play because nobody can go in any shops.
Yeah.
Type thing. And so you don't hear about it. So people are starting to pick it up even more. And a lot of new people too. There's been a lot of converting from GW games lately. Which is I'm not surprised, but they've been coming over. So what's your favorite paints that you're using nowadays?
Chimera. So I should say, okay, so one of the things with Alfonso is he is very much into mixing your own paints. So like mixing in the colors you want and stuff like that, which I had already been trying to do, but I never really got an idea of how far it can go until I started working with him. I'm still like just at the tip of the iceberg type thing. Chimera colors are incredibly hyperpigmented. So like they're a very, very pure, very, very good solid color, but they're also fairly matte. Which some people like.
I like matte colors more than anything.
Yeah. The only downside, like sometimes matte is just too matte. It's like almost like dry. And Chimera kind of borders on that. So then what we do, and this gets complicated. So then what we do is we add in just those good old fashioned golden acrylics you can buy like at Michael's, because they're very hyperpigmented. And they add in like a satin effect to it, but they themselves alone are very transparent. So that's why you don't use them by themselves. That's why you mix the two. So the two mixed together gets this nice kind of combo. And then the final portion of that would be using Daler-Rowney inks, because you take the ink and you mix it with the colors and it increases fluidity. So it makes it more water-like without adding water to it, because water decreases the pigments, but adding the ink directly in there, it keeps the pigment load at the same level or even higher. It gives you the ability to go smoother.
I got on that bandwagon because someone said try the white ink for painting white, and it's the Daler one also. And I've been using that, like, if I want to, if I'm going to highlight it or thin a white, I put the white ink in it. I've been debating buying more inks and just like the basic rainbow color of inks, just to do that, because people, there's nothing wrong with using water. There's nothing wrong with using a medium. But I found, like, with the inks, it stays wetter longer, and it also looks a lot better too.
It does.
Separate.
No, that's it. Yeah, that wetter longer is that fluidity, and then it keeps the pigment load high, so it's brighter. Like I say brighter, but that's not really the correct artist term. It keeps that. I know it's weird. Like, I mean, like, you feel like you should just be able to use these words, but like you can't, because like they don't properly describe. But like it keeps the pigment load higher, so that the color is truer when you put it on, and you don't like lose any of that. But yeah, I mean, I've only got like a basic set of Daler-Rowneys. I mean, like a white, a black, a red, a yellow, blue, green, the primaries, essentially, and the secondaries. And outside of that, I don't have any additional colors, because basically whatever I need, I can get out of those. And then with Chimera, I have like their basic set and a couple of additional ones, because they just have excellent colors. And then when it comes to like the golden acrylics, it's really, once again, just pretty much the primaries in black and white, and that's about it.
Cool. What is one faux pas people do with their colors that you tell people don't do that, stop doing that type thing?
What's the name? At the moment, it would actually probably be the water thing. Don't use water.
So if we can't get inks, is mixing medium better?
Yeah, mixing medium is better than water. Okay. Yeah, mixing medium is better than water. I would say the other thing is probably what I've been learning is that you need to be refreshing the paint really, really frequently too. Like so the wet palettes are great because they extend the life of your paints and allow you to do things. But what I would use to do is I'd be like, okay, here's my wet palette. I mix up these colors. I start painting. I paint for like an hour, and I'm like, okay, well, that's it for today. Next day, come back, pull out take the top off my wet palette, use the same colors I had from the day before, put the lid back on. Next day, repeat, do the same thing. After like 24 hours or so, the water's seeping into those and they're destroying it. Like, you really just need the remix, which means you're using a lot of paint, but you get better results.
All right, so let's go ahead and get over. Xander says that he fully understands, because he works in paint manufacturing for automotive paint, so he understands, terminologies and such that you're coming through on that. So I'm gonna go over here and go to your slideshow.
Okay.
You sent me a bunch of pictures, and they're up on the Twitch.
Okay.
And there is a reason you came on here, not because I think you're awesome and I love you and I think you're an amazing artist. You got a big project coming up. What are you doing?
Yeah. I'm going to be one of the new authors in the Art of series. So the Art of series is a series of books that is produced by Dave Taylor, Dave Taylor Miniatures. And the first 3 volumes are already out, involving the Miniature Monthly group, which Matt DiPietro is part of. Then also involving Christoph and Anna. And those were a set of books that went on Kickstarter a year and a half, 2 years ago or so.
Yep.
And, all finished up and everything like that. So Dave is now moving on to the next set of artists, which will be myself, a gentleman by the name of Tommy Sewell, who does a lot of GW painting, a lot of paint teaching. And then actually a pretty good friend of mine from France by the name of Sine, who does a lot of like colorful work with like bust and figures like that. So our Kickstarter for our next set of books is actually going on starting on May 10th, and we'll run through like the end of the month. Um, you can purchase like individual books if you want to do it that way, or you can purchase the books as a group of 3 if you want to do it that way too for a bit of a discount. And then for those who are interested in like the old books, those older books are available in various like bookstores around the country and also through like Dave Taylor Miniatures.
Right, we've actually had him on here before to talk about, I think it was the first 3 books. We had him
Oh,
on the
Dave Taylor?
podcast to talk about the first 3 books. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Dave's a great guy.
Yeah.
He is
We try to always highlight cool people.
Yeah.
Sometimes Mizzy gets on, but we try to highlight cool people.
But like,
right, so
I don't have to be here, Gonzo.
so I got your picture up. That is this. I guess this is going to be what your cover is going to be.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, these are kind of like I shouldn't say test images, but like kind of placeholder images.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we think will probably be going forward, but technically it could change. But I'm going to definitely try to keep it this way because those are 3 of my favorite pieces on there. So.
All right. So I'm going to just go through these and we'll talk about them. I've seen this one in person. And is this the one that? Which one is this one? Which one did you name this one?
The top one there, that's Grandma.
Okay. Well, we're actually going to the next. Like I says, you have to wait a little bit of delay from Twitch.
Sorry. This one that is Grandma. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, still Grandma, but yeah,
that's still Grandma. Yeah.
I believe I've seen that one in person.
Yeah. I brought that one to Warfare last year.
Yeah. And then the next one should be
one.
coming up pretty soon. Let me know when it comes up because I think this is the one that you won Warfare Weekend with.
Yes.
Very well could be.
The Adventurers, I think it's this one is.
Yeah, the Dungeon Explorers. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and that's the other one I took to Warfare, and that's the one that won it. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Minotaur.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite pieces too because it like harkens back to old memories with friends.
Oh yeah.
So like one of the things I think is important so there's miniature painting and then there's like miniature art, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I enjoy in miniature art is like the storytelling, the emotional contacts, or like connection you can get with people and stuff like that. So for instance, like grandmas, the benefit of grandmas was like I was trying to pull on those old memories I had with my grandmother, but I can get that emotional connection with people because most people, have a grandmother and have a grandmother that they probably spend a fair amount of time with. And so it kind of has that. And then like the Dungeon Explorers piece here was pulling back on memories of my D&D days with my friends in high school and stuff like that.
So I got a question. Who made these miniatures?
So on the Dungeon Explorers, let's see.
Yeah.
That top one there, like the one in the back, the Tiefling Wizard,
mm-hmm.
that is from Hera Models.
Okay.
The elf in the front, I believe, is from Black Sun, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
The 2 dwarves are from Big Child Creatives.
Okay.
And then the Minotaur in the middle is from Journeyman Miniatures. So
I recognize that one. That one's a very distinct Minotaur.
It is. It's such a fantastic miniature to paint. Like Journeyman does some really high quality work, and that was a real joy to paint that one.
Yeah, and all these miniatures, whenever you're doing this scene, you've already got them all glued and put together, and you just paint around them, right?
No. No.
That's just asking for problems.
Right. Yeah. No. So, okay. So fun little story. This piece was this was the first, I was working on this before I started coaching with Alfonso. Like I was like putting it together and I'd started painting it. And before I started working with Alfonso, my method of making my pieces was very chaotic and kind of, it was just chaos. And so I sent this to him for my first review, kind of partially done. It's like, hey, this is my idea, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And stuff like that. And, I'm not expecting him to like be totally like, oh, this is great, Chris. But I'm like, he'll probably like it. And basically his response was, this hurts my eyes. Oh. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. And he was like, listen, you got 2 choices. He's like, this is not working the way it is. You can either keep going and make a subpar project, or you can tear it apart and we'll start from the beginning and try to get something good. And me just being the type of person I am, I'm not going to, I mean, things don't have to be perfect, but if I can do something better, I'm going to do it better. I'm not going to just kind of let it go. So yeah, I mean, I totally tore it down and we started back from the beginning, like ripped the whole entire thing. I think the only thing we actually left alone was I think the Minotaur had some paint on them at that point, and we kind of basically left those colors alone and then kind of adjusted them later. But everything else was changed. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that piece. It took, I mean, really, it took like over a year to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it took more than just your Saturday weekend.
Yeah, it took a little while, but yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, I think other people probably get more of a treat out of like grandma or the market or some of those type of pieces, but like this one is one that's important to me.
All right, the next one is your dragon. And you've got a lady with a tattoo on it. It should be coming up and showing up on
Yeah,
Twitch.
yeah.
I've seen this one personally myself. And how much influenced were you by Avatar on this one?
Not. I was not influenced by Avatar. I was influenced by something else.
What were you influenced by? Because I know some people. Because I remember seeing this and some people were talking about it. I goes, oh, it kind of looks like like the Avatar movie. And I was like, oh yeah, I could see that. But what influenced you to paint the dragon or wyvern the way it is?
What really two things influenced me. One was the movie How to Train Your Dragon because it's kind of mirroring some of the colors of the whatever the female Viking is in that movie. It's like her creature,
Uh
her dragon. It kind of mirrors some of those. And then the idea was that the story here is this female, like maybe female Viking or female shaman, has made this connection with this like young dragon, and so and they're like on the coast. So like a lot of the colors reflected in the dragon are based off of like the ocean and stuff like that. So like the blues in the dragon are meant to play off the ocean because the dragon's name is actually Wave Chaser. But then the oranges and the yellows in the dragon are placed there because blue complements with orange, so it makes it pop more, and then that draws your eye to those areas more. So like that's for instance, like it's got serpentine kind of black eyes, which don't really stand out. But by painting yellow and orange around that area, I draw your eye to that and make you look at it in the face. This was a piece that I think you have those pieces that people remember or like kind of put you on the map or whatever type thing. This was the piece that did that for me. The story with it was I was actually painting the Werven and then I was painting the lady separately. Like I had two different ideas for them. And one night I was like, oh, what if I put the two of them together? That could be something like really kind of cool. And so I took the Werven and it's a model from Carol Rudick. And for anyone that doesn't know, Carol Rudick does fantastic like dragons and Wervens, but they're expensive. It's like a $200 model. And I literally butchered the thing. I cut it up in multiple pieces so I could rearrange it and stuff like that. I literally sent a picture to friends and I was like, what the hell have I done? But yeah, reassembled it, put all this stuff together, painted it, got some help from a buddy by the name of Jay Martin, who runs Figure Mentors, and took it to Crystal Brush, and people were just interested in it. I remember it made it to day 2 of Crystal Brush, which means it makes it to like the online voting and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I actually made it to online voting. This is so cool and stuff like that. I went to bed at like 2 a.m. that day and woke up at like 6 a.m. and my phone is blown up with messages, including messages from Carol Rudick, the guy that designed the model. And he's like, Chris, I love your dragon. Send me more pictures. So like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the piece that put me on the map type thing. So I actually, like I said, I don't tend to sell pieces or part with them. You can't quite see it from where you are, but she sits in the case right over there. Yeah. So.
Next picture looks like just kind of like an insert of what would be in the book.
Yeah. That's just kind of giving people an idea of like what some of the images and the quality of the book will look like. Um, the books are okay. So the nice thing about the Art of series is each book is designed by the artists themselves. So it's not a template that Dave has given us or anything like that. So if you want to spend your entire book talking about how to do the world's most precise non-metal metallic, you could do that.
So you
Okay.
not only did you have to do not only the artwork, but you had to write everything that you wrote in there.
Yes. Oh yeah, everything. I've been working on the book since like September, and I'm not completely done yet at this point. Most of it is done, but there's still a couple of chapters left to go. Um, but so like my book um, will have an introduction section that just talks about me a little bit, and then like we dive into talking about inspiration and how to use inspiration. We dive into storytelling and why storytelling is important in art. Then we dive into composition, which composition is this tool used in art to place things in certain positions to draw attention to them. It's actually used a ton in movies. Um, people can kind of go take a look at it, on the internet and stuff like that. But like for instance, one that comes up very quickly and easily is there was a famous shot in James Cameron's Titanic where the front of the boat's going down and the back end is going up, but it's designed in such a way to create movement to make it even feel more like the boat is sinking. And because like the front of the boat is down on the bottom left and the back of the boat's on the top right, we read that as being incorrect or wrong. So it makes you feel even more anxious that the boat's sinking. But yeah, it's discussion about how we do certain things like that in our dioramas to make certain feelings. And then there's additional sections on how I did some of these pieces, like some like kind of how-tos. There's a section on like tools, which not only talk about the tools we use, but like how we take certain items and turn them into other things, like how you make like stone walls or sewer pipes and stuff like that. And then the last part of the book is just a massive gallery with all these pieces, but also with all the stories that go with them.
Next page is Reaching Valhalla, and I know these aren't coming out really great, but up in the right hand corner there's like a sketch pad, and then below it is a
Yep.
picture of another lady. What's the meaning behind this section of this?
So yeah, so in this portion, we're talking about like inspiration and like how you go from beginning to end. So that sketch up there in the top right of that is my initial sketches for this piece. Like so on the left we have the finished piece, and on the right there you have the initial sketches. And then below that is one of the pieces of inspirational artwork that I was, kind of pulling things off of for when I was making doing the paint job.
Okay.
And so like those type of things are in the book too. Like we walk through, so some of the how-tos, like there's a how-to for like how to train your dragon. There's like a how-to on the dungeon explorers. And so in those sections, not only do you get to see photos of the build and process and the paint jobs and all that type of stuff, but also like initial sketches. How do we put this together? Where did I gain inspiration for this idea? Stuff like that.
The next one up, I believe I've seen this one in person too, with the people in the trees.
Yeah. This one's called Fate. So in Norse mythology, there are three Norns, which are essentially the Fates, that live in the tree Yggdrasil, and they're responsible for taking care of the tree, and they're responsible for basically setting everyone's fate. And I mean everyone from like the tiniest teeny little baby to the gods themselves. They control your fate. And the interesting thing about Norse mythology is that in Norse mythology, you cannot cheat fate. Okay. So like you've always heard tales about like, Vikings and like honor and stuff like that. Why is it such a big deal? Because let's say today is my death day. Okay. Like they would say, today is your death day. So by midnight tonight, I'm dead, period. No matter what happens, no matter what I do. Okay. So if I go to battle and I fight and I die there, well, I died an honorable, noble death. But if I chicken out and I become a coward, by the end of tonight, I'll still be dead, but I'll die in some disgraceful way of being bit by a spider or
Yeah.
something like that. So anyway, this is a depiction of that. It's the three fates weaving, the three Norns weaving the fate of someone. We don't really know quite who. This is actually part of a three-piece series with two other pieces called Valkyrie and Valhalla. And this one, there's interesting, I don't know if you can see it in the photo or not, but at the bottom left, there's a skeleton with a shield.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that the skeleton is at the base of Yggdrasil means that whoever this is, they died dishonorably. Like they were a coward, a thief, or something like that. But the shield that's there ends up being a shield that's relayed in multiple other pieces, so they submitted all at the same time. And so this kind of struck a chord with a lot of other artists, because not only was I submitting one piece into this competition, but each piece that I submitted into this competition, because I submitted 3 into Crystal Brush that year, but each one of them not only told their own story, but they all connected together too. And so people would just be going back and forth between all of them looking for those connection points.
What are your trees made out of? Or how did you make those?
Yeah. So that's one thing, just kind of going back to the book a little bit. That's actually one thing we talk about in the book, is like how we make certain things like this. A good chunk of that tree is driftwood that I actually got when my wife and kids took me on a Father's Day trip to Camdenton, Missouri. Like there was just driftwood that we would see. And so I picked it up and held onto it, and then, basically broke it up to make the trunk of the tree. The branches are made out of various roots. And then the leaves are a combination of paper, leaves that were, basically painted and cut. And then some of the leaves are actually real leaves that are preserved in glycerin.
Nice.
And this is, so now this is the second part of that series. This is Valkyrie. And so in Valkyrie, it was the single model entry, and it's depicting this Valkyrie flying over the battlefield, picking up the souls of the dead who are worthy to go on to Valhalla.
And I actually remember you working on this, because I remember that background you painted, and you like teased it on your Facebook page one time or something.
Yeah.
I remember you working on this one.
Yeah, I actually teased this one quite a bit. This was it's funny, like ironically or interestingly or whatever. I did this 3 for Crystal Brush in 2019. And I really seriously thought about not taking them because I wanted to do them better. Like I knew I could do better. I could paint them better and stuff like that. But I decided to go ahead and do it and just kind of get it over with or get it done or whatever. And I'm so glad I did, because that ended up being the last Crystal Brush.
Yep. Now see, I have never seen, this is a bust with a guy riding a horse. I've never saw this piece until today.
Yeah, I know. This one's up on like my Facebook and Putty and Paint and Instagram, those type of things. But I've never taken this one to a competition.
Yeah.
This one's called the Elven Rider. It's a sculpt by Lucas Pina, who is for miniature artists, he's a fantastic sculptor. He tends to put something out about every 3 to 4 months. It's always, I shouldn't say it's limited edition, but basically you have 48 hours to order it, and then once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Like no more of them are ever made. But I really enjoy his style. It has a slightly cartoony feel to it, which I like. And then he's really good at sculpting movement or emotion into his pieces. The reason I kind of put this one in there is because this is the first piece I finished with Alfonso. So this is my like level up type piece,
Gotcha.
Like, he'd be like, well, you need to work on this. You need to work on that. Let's do this. Let's do that. And so, even though it's not my best work, it means a lot to me because there was so much learning I got from him doing it.
All right. Next one is your Skaven, and this was done this year, right?
Yeah. I did this between December and March of this year for Golden Demon.
Yeah.
So I'd already finished the squigs. And I knew I was going to take them to Golden Demon. I was like, I could try to do one more thing and get it done in time for Golden Demon. So I decided to go with Unit, and created the base for them, and painted them up, and did this also under Alfonso's guidance and stuff like that. It did, it did in place. It did get it commended, so I was happy about that. Um, but yeah, I just kind of like this piece. I like the red of the armor. I like the green environment, this creating the sewer scene. Um, Ironically, like it's kind of built out of funky parts. Like for instance, that big sewer pipe that the kind of like the Skaven leader is standing in is a plastic kid's cup that was just cut at a certain angle.
Nice.
And that big kind of metal tube, the very bright one there that kind of helps set the light texture or the light level for the rest of the piece, that is a TP roll.
And I believe this one is the one that got you your P3 Grandmaster at Adepticon.
Let's see here.
Is this the Kador and Mulg?
Oh, see, it didn't give me Grandmaster.
Oh,
Steve Garcia got Grandmaster.
okay.
Uh,
I heard that I saw this one when I first started in there. I saw it in there. I was like, I know this guy's artwork. I know who
yeah,
this guy
yeah,
is.
yeah. No, this one's Mold Smash for all our War Machine fans out there. Um, but yeah, so Mold Smash, it did win Best Diorama, so it won its category. But Steve Garcia won Best Overall with his Kador Wizard guy.
Okay. I saw this one at Adepticon. I was standing and looking at the stuff as I was purchasing things, and I'm like, I know this guy's style. I know who this guy is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This definitely has my fingerprint all over
Oh
it.
yeah.
So,
Then a better picture of the Dungeon Explorers, which you won at Warfare Weekend, which is our first really big painting competition that we did with that,
mhm.
and you got a really cool trophy.
I
Uh,
did. Yeah, yeah,
do you
yeah. I got
do you
this
hang that
beautiful, this
the big old
beautiful,
paintbrush?
yeah, giant paintbrush. But it's all made out of like wood by one of the other artisos there. So like I mean, even like the red on the handle or the red on the brush tip here, it's not painted red. It's actually like this red varnished wood. So it's incredibly cool.
Yeah, I talked to him about that for this year, and I says we still want you to do the brush, but we kind of want colors changed up every once in a while. So he's gonna see if he can find a different color for the tip type
That sounds
thing.
great. That's awesome.
Um, this one I had never seen until today, and this is I'm a big color person. I love bright colors, and
Uh,
whatever this rabbit creature is with the colors and the pajamas that it looks like they're wearing and stuff,
uh,
I really dig the colors of this because I always love bright colors, and I saw this and I was like, ooh, this is cool.
yeah. Yeah, so this one's called the market. This is the one I was talking about earlier that I
Uh
gave
huh.
away to a friend. Um, so the figure there is called the Batpacker. It's a bat with like little batlings in the back of it, and it's by Bold Miniatures. And ironically, what happened with it was a bunch of us were hanging out like in one of Alfonso's groups, just kind of chatting and stuff like that, chatting about this like company and it's Kickstarter for like this little figure. And people were like, yeah, it's kind of cool and everything like that. What do you see with it? And I'm like, first time I saw her, I was like, I think she's like going to the market. Like, I feel like she's like getting ready to go buy food or something like that. So that's where the idea just kind of started. And we started running with it. I was trying to create like an open air market type feel. And so, we, yeah, as you can see, like at the bottom of the bowls there and stuff like that are filled with spices and various foods. Along the wall, there's some kind of vases that hold like fresh flowers and stuff like that. And the story with her is I kind of wanted to give this idea that she woke up early and packed the kids into their little backpack there, and it's bright and early, and she wants to head out to the market early because it's still quiet, crisp air, and everything's fresh. And then there's like this little wind chime, and that's like the only sound that she hears because everything's still quiet at this point. So, yeah, it's actually one of my favorite pieces. So,
And I'd never seen this one until you showed me at your Waiting Valhalla,
uh,
which is this the third piece in that series, or one of the three pieces in that series?
yeah, if it's Valhalla, yeah. Oh, yep, that's it. That's the last one of that series then. So, um, I like this one because it kind of speaks to my nature, in that I like taking things and making them unique, or changing the idea with them. So the figure itself is just a bust. It's called Vivian, and Vivian is very much the Lady of the Lake. So like she's, eyes open, just kind of standing in front of you. The sword is not being held in kind of like that cross position. It's being held between her two hands, like out flat, like she's offering it to you. So she became my shield maiden for that series. And so I had to convert her by repositioning the arm so that the sword would be over like her chest and over her abdomen. I had to close her eyes. So like I had to like literally sand off the eyelids and resculpt them. Let me just say that's nerve wracking. And then design the boat for her and everything like that. And then a few things I really love about the piece is there's other items in the boat with her that kind of try to give you hints about her life. Like there's apples in there. So my thought was this, maybe it's kind of saying that apples were her favorite food or her favorite treat.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little doll in there with her. And so is the doll hers? Is it like a childhood, companion, or is maybe the doll from her daughter or something like that? And she put it in there with her mom to go to Valhalla. And then there's actually like a on a personal level for me, there's a little scroll kind of tucked underneath one of her arms that is actually part of a funeral announcement for my grandfather, because he passed away while I was doing this piece. And so I kind of put that in there to kind of give it that own little personal touch for me.
Next piece, it looks like another insert from your book, and
Okay.
this is your, I don't know if you're elf or dryad, and this is actually one of
Oh
my
yeah.
friends, Erica's favorite piece that you've done. She really liked this one, and I like this one too because I like the red and the greens
Uh-huh.
and stuff, and I thought this one. I remember seeing this one because didn't you enter this one into Crystal Brush?
I did, yeah, yeah. It made it to day two, but it didn't place at the end. But I mean, it made it to day two, which was a pretty huge feat especially considering the other busts were in the category with it.
Yeah.
But what I like about this one is, so for folks who don't recognize it in that, the model is actually, oh, what is her name? Boudica from FER. So it's actually this Scottish female warrior, and I totally just redid her to become a like autumn dryad.
Yeah.
Like I added the antlers, the skull, the leaves there, that leaf cloak. She had like just a regular cloth cloak on her, so I had to make the leaf cloak, and I made them out of like taking plastic card and hole punching leaves out of it and then altering them. Um, the staff there is just made out of some wood I found. The crystal kind of alpine bark. You might notice there's kind of like these little like feathery grass type tufts type things. Those are actually pine needles that I treated with glycerin, and then and I had actually collected them from a farm where my girls used to go do riding lessons. So, sorry, excuse me, but yeah, I mean, I just like this piece because it's so different from what the original was. Like I said, the original is just, it's a historical piece, and I totally took it and made it something different.
I think the last two are the other two books that are going to be in this set of three.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. So this is Tommy's cover. So Tommy Sewell is a miniature painter from the UK. He mainly does Games Workshop items and stuff like that, and some other type of pieces. Tommy's book, just to try to give you like a little insight to their books. So Tommy's book, talking with him, is going to probably be more technical focused than say mine is. Like he's definitely going to be talking about like certain painting techniques and stuff like that. And then the next cover is for Sinai, who's, like I said, is a friend of mine. But Sinai is going to be dealing a lot with like colors and stuff like that. And he'll have a selection of not only like army figures and armies and Games Workshop figures, but then also like other things like bust and more artistic pieces.
Okay. Let me go back. That was the last of that. go back to our pictures and such. I noticed that a lot of your stuff is on plinths. Do you have favorite artists for plinths that you go to?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Joe Orstober
Uh
um basically customizes all my plants for me. Like I literally like send him specifications and I'm like, I need a plinth this tall, this size, this type of basing or whatever like that. And he's like, okay, I'll have it to you in a week. So yeah, he does almost all my plinths for me.
huh.
Yeah.
I know that you picked up a few of Jacob Jansen's at Warfare Weekend last year.
Yeah. And Jacob is basically I haven't ordered from Jacob directly, but Jacob produces incredible things.
Yeah, because he's actually going to be doing a couple of uh, plinths for a couple of trophies that we're making.
Oh, nice.
Like one of the some of the skulls that some of the trophies we're making for Warfare Weekend. Like I got a skull that's going to be in some fire and stuff that's going to be for a trophy, and then of course my nearly life size Infinity Gauntlet is going to have a
Oh,
plinth that it's going to sit on for the MCP tournament type
nice.
thing. But yeah, because he's going to be there again this year, so I'm sure he's going to have plenty of plinths out that you could get from him.
Yeah.
He's going to have plenty of stuff, and he's going to have a vendor booth, which I'm really happy about him being there.
Yeah. No, he produces fantastic work.
Yeah. Um, does anybody have any questions? Mizzy, you got any questions or anything?
No,
You just
I
enjoying
just
the eye candy?
yeah. But the thing for me is that I really like how you're incorporating certain aspects of things that I know about with my background in graphic design and going to art school and all that stuff, and like how it transfers over into the miniature art as well, like the inks, for
Mhm.
instance. It's really cool how you combine the different medias.
Yeah, I mean, I try. I try. I mean, the ink thing, I will definitely say that comes from Alfonso, kind of teaching me things. But like even kind of just going to so like composition um is something that's a lot more dealt with in like photography and movies,
Hmm.
but we can totally use that to our advantage too. Um, like where you put something in certain pieces by placing it in a certain way will automatically garner more interest than others. Like for instance, if you look at the Dungeon Explorer piece, you'll notice that the minute with the Minotaur being in the middle, that the other figures basically form a triangle around him, which encloses
Yes.
him and makes him more prominent, makes him more of a center of attention. Um, and then if
You
you look
create
back,
that focal point, yeah.
yeah, you create that focal point. Or if you look at like Fate, Fate involves the rule of thirds, so that each one of those like Norns is placed on one of those like nexus points for
Hmm.
the grid in order to make it more prominent, make you pay more attention to them.
Actually, I do have a question.
Sure.
So for like the elements, like the like in the market, you've got like all these different foods and stuff. What do you make out of, or how do you make that? Do you sculpt it, or is there a particular um
Uh, I do all different types of things. In fact, that's on the occasion when I teach like a class or whatever, that's one of the things we always talk about is to start looking at elements in the world that you can use in different ways. Kind of like, like on the rats there, I used like a kid's cup to create one of the sewer pipes because it was just the right diameter and it was a cylinder.
right.
That's all I really needed. So like with the foods there for the market, some of the things like the spices and stuff like that, the spices is basically artificial snow that's just
Okay.
paint, but it's the same texture that I needed.
Right.
Um, the little carrots I totally stole from a dollhouse. It's a dollhouse bit. That's all there is to it. Um, some of the other like other fruits in that though, I just sculpted out of green stuff. The flower type things that are on the wall are actually just dried flowers that I preserved in glycerin from like a whole local hobby store and then cut them and put them in there.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, so when is the Kickstarter going to happen? And do you already have a pre link?
We do, yeah. So our Kickstarter launches on May 10th, and then runs through the end of the month. And if you like on, so I could, I can send you the link for the Kickstarter, but we do have a sign up page right now. That'll notify you on launch. The cost of a book is $30, and then but if you buy so you can buy one book or you can buy two books at that cost. But if you buy all three, it's $80, so it saves you a little bit of money. But then we've also got a number of stretch goals set up for special bookmarks and additions to the books and stuff like that. If people haven't already seen those, the pictures kind of give you an idea of the quality of pages. Like this is the miniature monthly one. But they're really good high quality books. And then we launch on May 10th, and
if you want, you can type you can copy and paste the link into the Twitch chat.
Okay.
In there.
Let me.
If you have it, or you can do it. Because I'm going to ask you another question, and it's probably going to be get into the feels of it. How does it make you feel that you're getting your own book?
Kind of weird. Really, I mean, let me send this real quick. Yeah, there we go. That should be it. Okay. So first off, Dave asked me in September. He was like, "Hey, listen, have you heard about the Art of series?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got the miniature monthly one." And he's like, "Yeah, would you like to do one of them?" And I'm kind of like, "Hey,
and you're like, what?
Yeah. I mean, what does this entail and stuff like that? But ironically, a few months before that, I'd literally been talking with a whole bunch of art friends, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to do a book." I was like, I really just kind of want to put pretty pictures in it and display my artwork, but I mean, it'd be so cool to actually have a book, something tangible that you can hold. And then a few months later, Dave asked me. I'm thrilled. I feel incredibly honored. Do
you get that imposter syndrome feeling when that happens?
Oh, God. Yeah. Someone had asked me about that recently, and it still happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a normal. But the thing is even if you talk with the world-renowned miniature artists and stuff like that, they tell you they have imposter syndrome too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm a nobody, and someone comes up and tells me they listen to the podcast every Sunday, or they listen to it on their drive. I still get that. I'm like, no, you're fucking lying. And no, I really do. And you're like, and it still just flabbergasts me when people either recognize my voice or recognize who I am, and I'm like, I'm nobody, and they're like, no, you do some really cool stuff for us, and I'm like, cool.
yeah, and that's
cool.
The other thing too. People come up to you and they'll tell, "Oh, I love this piece you did," and they're like, "I'm honored and I'm thrilled that you do, but I don't know how to respond." I'm glad you like it. I mean, that's great. So I mean, honored, a little apprehensive. I mean, I want to make sure that people who buy the book get what they want out of it. Mm-hmm. My hope would be that they learn a little bit about me. They learn some knowledge that they can apply to telling their own stories in art and that they can use to help build dioramas. But then the most important thing is I hope they read it and look at it and they feel inspired to create something on their own, to create their own piece. That would be my ultimate goal with it.
We're at the part of the podcast where we talk about our media and section. And pretty much what it is we have a rating system. We actually have two rating systems. Is the movie closer to Casablanca, which we consider, almost the perfect movie, or Cats, the movie, being the worst movie ever made? And we also have another rating system where we talk about, did you ever see the movie Ice Pirates? It's an old 80s movie.
Time Pirates or something like that. Time Bandits.
Time Bandits. But no, there's a movie called Ice Pirates, and there's a creature in it called a space herpy.
Okay.
And so we rate our shows or what we see on how many space herpies. The more space herpies, the worse it is. We go 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, 0 being, near perfect, and then 5 being, cats. So Cats
Okay.
would be 5 space herpes, and 0 space herpes would be Casablanca. So
Okay.
I'm going to talk about one thing that we can kind of get an idea, because there is one thing that we both want to talk about, type thing. And so I was watching a bunch of movies this week, and I watched a anime on Netflix called Bubble. Bubble's an
Okay.
anime Netflix project, which means, they're cutting all that stuff. They're probably going to start pushing all that stuff out. And not even really a spoiler, it is a new telling on, um, hey, just another guy named Harry. Thanks for the follow. The Little Mermaid. It's a
Okay.
retelling of The Little Mermaid. And so it's different. It's interesting. It's based in Tokyo. Animation is very good. They didn't do the, which is now the prevalent one of using a lot of CGI animation. This looks like old school drawn type stuff, whether it was done on a computer or not. But it's not CGI, formatic robot moving type thing. It was done really good. Music was really good on it. Very solid. Won't spoil it, but it is based off of. It is like a new retelling of The Little Mermaid. No nudity, no nothing like that. Very easygoing. So anybody could watch it. I really enjoyed it. I liked the music. I liked the action. A little bit of slow part here and there. But of course, it does have that anime feel, and so things are flying crazy, and people are doing stunts that should not have been doing stunts, and it's based on parkour. So there's some outrageous parkour movements, but overall, it was a really good show. It's only about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it a lot. It was a really neat take on The Little Mermaid. I would give it probably like 1 space herpy, because it wasn't perfect, but it couldn't push that boundary. But it was worth a watch, especially if you like, anime movies. You don't have to invest like a whole, weekend trying to catch up on it, because it's just a movie, not a series.
Uh-huh.
So, all right, Chris, what do you got?
So I got three then.
All right,
Okay.
give me one.
So I cannot believe it. I'm totally blanking on the name of the series right now. What's the Netflix series based off of Riot Games?
Arcane.
Arcane. Okay. Arcane. I know it's been out for a while. I like it so much that I literally keep rewatching it for inspiration. Like
I
that
really like
is
the artwork
so,
in that.
yeah, the artwork is amazing. The storytelling's amazing. The characters are fantastic. That thing is an amazing, amazing show. That one definitely gets 0 space herpes. Because that thing is pretty much perfect for what it is.
I hope it continues, though. It
Yeah, I
did
did
get
too.
renewed, but Amazon just cut almost all of their, anime studio and anime works.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, maybe if Netflix cut it, then maybe Amazon will pick it up. Because Amazon also picked up. Amazon did an okay job with whatever that is. Legend of Vox Machina. Like that
Hmm.
wasn't bad. So,
Yeah,
um,
I have a feeling they're probably going to keep that one around, because that made them a ton of money.
oh, I'm pretty sure it's already renewed for a second one.
Yeah, it is already renewed, but some shows that got renewed are being canceled during underneath the animation
Ah,
umbrella right now. Netflix
yeah,
is cutting a lot of projects right
yeah.
now.
Well, I mean, they just lost a huge amount of subscribers, right? Then
Oh
they
yeah,
just take that
like
big bit.
100,000.
Yeah. So that would be one. Next one is going to be Moon Knight. Um, the most recent episode was amazingly done. Um, that show is so good. I love the. I'm not really terribly familiar with the character, but the
Hmm.
way they're telling the origin story and what's his name, Oscar Isaac,
Hmm.
the actor there is really really good at it.
This
Uh,
episode, I watched this with you too, and I says this episode, I have to tell everybody there is a trigger warning in this one. Um,
that's totally fair.
yeah,
It is brutal. It is one of those episodes you watch and you're like, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, and then you can just feel slowly your guts being twisted,
yeah. Um, there is
nauseating.
abuse in this episode, and
Yeah.
I actually had to stop it and take a breather, because it hit home pretty hard, and I was like, Whew, pause for a second. And you know which scene I'm talking about, and
Yeah,
we
oh
won't
yeah, yeah.
spoil it because it's still fresh. But I watched that and I saw that scene and I went, fuck, and I paused it and I said, man, and I had to sit for a minute and I was like, this just, I mean, it not only hit home, I mean, he's an amazing actor in this. I mean, his ability, to do the splits and everything, and just what's going on and everything that's happening. And when you find out the story, and I put that in quotes of why he is and who he is and what's going on, you're just like, it's a huge gut punch, and
Yeah,
you're
it's a
just like,
massive gap. And
shit.
and that's what I really like about movies and art and miniature art and all that. I like those emotional connections,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're good or bad. And like, so this one just like, I was like, it was not fun, but it was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I would give that show maybe one space herpy just because I think it started kind of like the first episode's kind of slow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
But,
waiting to see the entire thing before I give it my final rating. Anything like this. Mizzy, what you got for us this week?
oh, I
Or
got one more.
yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back. We'll give Mizzy a
Oh,
chance.
No, it's fine. Yeah, go.
Uh, are you gonna skip, Mizzy? All right, go ahead, Chris. What's your third one?
oh no, I just want to bring this one up too because I think it's kind of just out there. There is a show on Netflix called Under the Banner of God or something like
Under the
that.
Banner of Heaven is on Hulu.
Yeah.
I'm watching
Are
that
you
too. I watched it this week. I watched episode 1.
right? Okay, so I've seen episode 1 and 2.
I haven't seen
There's
2
just
yet.
another show that is very well done, and the emotional feels it gives you is quite good, but it's creepy.
Oh yeah. So I actually looked this up because it's based off of a true story
Right.
of a murder that happened in a Mormon town.
Yeah.
Very much in the Mormon faith and everything. And it's about a mother and her child that get brutally murdered in the Mormon church and this family of Mormons. Um, I purposely didn't read the wiki on it. I'm waiting until the series is over so I can read, the real truth behind it to
Mhm.
see how much was Hollywoodized and then how much, is, true. Because I like doing that after I see it. And, because it's going to be a limited series. It's just going to deal with what's the story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's based off of the book that was written about the true crime. And yeah, you're right. This thing is creepy as
Oh yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. 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 It's like it's psychological creepy, right? It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's based off a true story and everything. So it's not like it's full of like, you know, demons and monsters and ghosts or
Yeah.
those type of things, and like like Hill Houses or something like that. But yet it is just creepy and it's so good at just making you feel unease. It's yeah, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I mean, it's very solid. I like the way it's filmed. I don't know what time it was supposed to be in.
I don't
Uh,
need. Oh, time wise, it's got to be like late '70s, early '80s, don't you
yeah, it's
think?
got to be like that. I couldn't remember what it is. Supposedly it's only 7 episodes. But the reason I saw it is I'm a big Andrew Garfield fan, and I saw that
Uh,
he was doing this, and I was like, ooh, I got to check this out and see what it is. And I saw it on there, and I was like, oh, it's finally up. Let's watch it. And I started watching it, and I was like, oh, this is good, but this is so wrong.
yeah, yeah, that's it. That's basically it. Yeah.
I'm not going to give any rating on that until it's done either, but I'm enjoying what I'm watching so far.
Yeah.
Mizzy, did you want to go? Did you figure out something now?
I have two things, and I've had two things, but I was
Okay.
being polite because
Oh,
Chris is,
whatever. Go
know,
ahead. What's your
I'm not
first
a
one?
total heathen here. Um, I spent all day Saturday watching One Piece. And I finished up to the end of season 1. I'm just about to start the second season. So that I have watched 64 episodes out of, however many. But I really enjoy it. Even though I was telling somebody today that it's hard to get through probably the first half, but once you get through that first half, it gets a lot better. in my opinion. So, but I'm enjoying it. It's a nice, just chill, relax. I don't have to be emotionally involved, and I don't have to think about things. I can just enjoy it for what it is, which is what I need. So, I am going to give it 2 because there are some parts that I'm like, oh my god, can we move on? But yeah. And then my other one is Picard.
Yep, which we did finish the season finale.
Yes.
I'm kind of disappointed in this season of Picard.
It's
Season
meh.
1 was amazing. Season 2 gives me I give it a 2.5 meh rating. It has
Yeah.
some cool moments, but it really is just kind of meh type
Yeah.
thing.
And once it got into the direction that it went, there's only so many ways that it could have ended.
Yeah. So, I
So,
mean, it's based on time
yeah.
travel. And so it's time travel back in like 2024, I think is what it is. So
Yep.
it's like really current time. But it's like really, I'm like, I don't want to see a Star Trek series based in our universe and our time.
I
I
don't
watch
need
Star Trek for the phasers and the spaceships and the aliens and, you
I
know,
don't need something close to reality. I live it every day and I'm tired of it.
yeah. So I pretty much was like, it's a meh on that one. I know that they did finish season 3 already, which is the final season, and they're wrapping up on that and getting that to go through, and so we'll get that. Probably won't get it until next year, I believe. Type thing. I actually have
400 billion.
one more to go. Out of all of this, I watched the movie The Man Who Fell to Earth, which is a continuation of the old David Bowie movie. And I believe this is on like Showtime, I think. And what it is about an alien that lands on Earth but needs to seek out a certain individual to help save their race on another planet. Um, and so this alien lands. Special effects are really good. No issues there because they show like a transformation from the alien species to a human species. And so this alien lands on Earth and is looking for this one individual, gets caught by the police type thing, and is learning how to be a human and talk like a human. And I will never forget it that this person's learning language skills from a cop. And all these cops are in the police station yelling, you know. And the lady's like, if you want something done, you want it done quickly, you say fuck and yell it really loud of what you want. So this alien's walking around just constantly, fuck, will you get me some water? And just, going crazy and thinks that it's the polite way to talk to people type thing. Um, and it's done really well. The characters are very likable. The characters have great personality. And it's in a continuation of the David Bowie movie. Because Bill Nye plays David Bowie's character in this. And Nighy. He's been in a lot of things. But I mean, he's playing David Bowie's character from the original movie. And I'm digging it. It's been a lot of fun. It's got some great humor to it because an alien trying to learn human ways, it's kind of, what they did just makes it even more hilarious the way they act. Um, I'm interested to see where it goes because the story is told where the alien is actually integrated into human society and it's kind of like, and I want to say this that way, but he's putting on a presentation like a TED's talk about a new product he's bringing out that's going to change and revolutionize the world. Sort of like an Apple presentation or whatever, type thing. And I'm interested to see where all this goes. But it's been good. Very interesting. Acting is really well. Characters have great personality. No rating, but I'm going to continue to watch it. Type thing. Does anybody have anything else? Any books they read? Any movies, TV
I,
shows?
I started the second Dragonlance book.
So yeah, I started listening to the second Dragonlance book now.
Yes.
Yeah, I am
So when
almost
I'm
through
sick
with
of,
listening to the second Dragonlance book, and I can't wait for you to get to certain parts because I remember them, and I remember them listening to them. And now Missy's never read any of the Dragonlance stuff and
Oh,
doesn't
really?
know it. Yeah, so this is her first go through. So she's listening to the first 3 Chronicles.
that's because Mizzy has to catch up on being a nerd.
Type thing. So, other than that, if nobody has anything, we can probably see who are we going to send you off to tonight.
V is playing Undertale.
V is playing Undertale. Let me
Yeah.
check, see if there's a...
Keyline Prime is streaming as well.
Let me see who we got. We got Holly Monster, Monster Den, Phoenix. Let's go ahead and...
Holly Monster gave me a bunch of stickers at Adepticon.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go to Holly Monster. We'll give her a good raid. Guys, we appreciate everybody being here. We appreciate you coming in and listening. Chris, as always, man, I appreciate you being on here. I can't wait to see your book.
Thanks.
Can't wait to see you at conventions. Hopefully I get to see you again soon with things starting to come up again and start seeing your projects type thing. So,
Yeah, that'd be great to see you too, Gonzo.
Guys, please take care of yourself. Please watch after each other. If you see something going on, say something. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Mizzy.
Chris?
Good night. And music. Let's get that raid going.
Dance party.
Make sure you hit that button and hit it. That raid coming up in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.